Christianity in Narnia. I know when most people think of Narnia, their minds automatically go to The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. But I'm not doing that. I'm going to be doing my presentation on The Magician's Nephew and The Last Battle and how they pertain to Genesis and Revelation from the Bible perspectively. So I will first be going through a little bit about Lewis's personal life, who he was, and why he started the Narnia series. And then I'll be doing a character analysis of the specific main characters in The Magician's Nephew and The Last Battle, along with themes and elements of those two books. And then why should we care about Christianity in Narnia? So first I'll start with Lewis's personal life. Lewis was born Clive Staples Lewis, though he rarely ever goes by Clive Staples Lewis. It's always C.S. Lewis, and when he was younger, he was insistent that you call him Jack. Lewis was born November 29th, 1898, and died November 22nd, 1963. His mother developed cancer when he was 9 years old, and after his mom died, his father became unstable, leaving Lewis and his brother alone and huddled in a corner. Lewis sought solitude to escape his problems, but he also created his own world, which he called Animal Land. Animal Land was a place where all the animals could be free and roam free, and it's speculated that his adventures in Animal Land is what later inspired him to create the world of Narnia. Lewis was good personal friends with J.R.R. Tolkien, as all of you know, the author of the famous Lord of the Rings trilogy and much more. But Lewis was not a Christian when he met Tolkien. Lewis said, "I believe in no religion. There is absolutely no proof for any of them, and from a philosophical standpoint, Christianity is not even the best." This was said when he was 17 years old. But Lewis and Tolkien conversed about Christianity often, and it was because of these conversations that Lewis eventually became a Christian himself. After one particularly important conversation, Lewis made it publicly known 12 days later that he had become a Christian himself. When Lewis first started the Chronicles of Narnia, he didn't plan on putting Christianity into the series. It wasn't completely intentional on his part. According to Lewis, Aslan found his way into the story on his own, and that he was inspired by Christ to add Christian themes, to add Christian elements like Aslan and Jadis and all sorts of those things. For my character analysis, I'll be talking about Diggory and Polly, the first people to ever venture into Narnia, Aslan, Jadis, Shift, and Puzzle. The first character that I'm going to talk about, Diggory and Polly, were two children, probably around the ages between 10 and 12, and they entered Narnia by accident, as did almost every person that went to Narnia kind of entered in by accident. Diggory and Polly have been paralleled to Adam and Eve. It's no coincidence that Diggory is called the son of Adam, and Polly is considered a daughter of Eve, which is a direct allusion to Adam and Eve, first man and woman in the Bible. Now, the children, they're naturally curious, and because of this curiosity, sin, or in this case, evil, comes into the world of Narnia. And they first find themselves in the world of charm, where they awaken the great evil that they bring into Narnia. Next, I'm going to talk about the temptation that is present in The Magician's Nephew. It parallels the Garden of Eden story of temptation. There's a garden to the far west region of Narnia, and Diggory is sent by Aslan to retrieve an apple from a very specific tree. But while he's in the garden, Jadis arrives. Sound familiar? She tells him, "Do you know what that fruit is? It is the apple of youth, the apple of life. Eat it and you will never die." This is similar to Satan telling Eve to eat the apple that she is forbidden because she will surely not die. She will have knowledge, and that makes it pleasing for her. The difference in the temptation of Diggory and the temptation of Eve is that Diggory doesn't actually eat the apple. He returns the apple back to Aslan and forgets about Jadis and forgets about the temptation, whereas Eve takes the apple, gives it to her husband, and evil, as we know, enters the world. A most prevalent character throughout the entire series is Aslan. Aslan is portrayed as a lion, and he can be seen as both God and Jesus. Jesus is considered the Lion of Judah, and there's no coincidence that Aslan is portrayed as a lion. Jesus is also considered the Lamb of God, and there are points in the Narnia series where Aslan shows up as a lamb. Aslan is the king of all Narnia and the creator of all Narnia. Narnia is a pastoral kingdom with agrarian principles, and Aslan appoints a human king, Frank, who can also be considered to be like Adam, because the relationship between Frank and Aslan isn't unlike the relationship between Adam and God. Aslan gives Frank duties and instructs him just as God instructs Adam. The duties which Aslan gives to Frank are to farm the land with his hands, care for the animals, not enslave them, teach others to do the same, treat everyone equally, and to place himself and his own life between his subjects and any that threaten him. God gives Adam the duties to rule over the fish in the sea and the birds in the sky and over every living creature that moves on the ground. He was also given every seed-bearing plant and every tree that had fruit with seed in it to be cared for. So, in other words, the Garden of Eden, to which Lewis seems to be alluding, can also be considered an agrarian kingdom, one akin to Narnia. And then Aslan, he is the creator, so seen as God, but he can also be seen as Jesus in some of the other books, for the example that he gave up his life as a sacrifice for Edmund, while Jesus sacrificed his life for us on the cross. Another theme, as I've been talking about, is the creation. The creation of both Narnia and the creation of Earth are very similar. Both Narnia and Earth were sinless worlds before Jadis and Satan were unleashed upon them. Both were also void of life, and they are comparable to each other. In Narnia, The Magician's Nephew, page 104, and really it was uncommonly like nothing. There were no stars. It was so dark that they couldn't see one another at all, and it made no difference whether you kept your eyes shut or open. Under their feet there was a cool, flat something which might have been earth, and was certainly not grass or wood. The air was cold and dry, and there was no wind. This description to Narnia does echo the Genesis account of creation. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. Now the earth was formless and empty, darkness was over the surface of the deep, and the Spirit of God was hovering over the waters. Genesis verses 1 to 2. Aslan takes pride in his creation, just as God takes pride in his. Unfortunately, both Aslan and God have to deal with the muck of Jadis and Satan, ruining what was once a perfect world. Then we have Jadis, the evil of all evil in Narnia. She is beautiful, she is cold, she is alluring, and she is a temptress. She can be considered to be like Satan. she gains a horrible sense of immortality by consuming the apple from the garden. She then uses that immortality to slowly poison Narnia, just as the devil poisons the minds of humans on Earth. And the devil, of course, is also immortal. He roams the earth for years and years, preying on those who are weak-minded. Jadis, like the devil, though, she receives her comeuppance at the hand of the creator Aslan. Then we have a theme, good versus evil. We have Aslan versus Jadis, heaven versus hell, God versus Satan. Good versus evil is a relevant theme throughout the series and proves that good always triumphs over evil. No matter what Jadis does, no matter what she says, Aslan overcomes her. Even though it takes 100 years of frozen winter, he still defeats the White Witch. Jesus will triumph over Satan at the end, and Satan will be locked away in hell forever. I took a quote from a very popular parody and turned it around. Good will always prevail because evil is dumb. And I have Philippians 4:13. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. So even though there is evil in the world, both in Narnia and in our world, if you believe in Aslan, if you believe in Jesus, if you believe in God, you can overcome evil. You can overcome the dangers that Satan and Jadis possess. Two more characters are from the last battle. Shift the ape, and Puzzle the donkey. And they can be comparable to the Antichrist that is spoken about in Revelation. The picture of the Antichrist, obviously there's no actual picture of the Antichrist, so I took it from Left Behind. As you can see in the picture, it kind of looks like a lion, but it's not. It is a donkey wearing a lion's skin. While wearing that skin, he masquerades as Aslan. The people of Narnia think that Aslan has come back. They don't look closer. They don't open their eyes. They're blinded to the truth by Puzzle and Shift. Shift is a liar and a scoundrel, and Puzzle is a donkey that just does whatever Shift tells him to. Shift is pulling the strings, even though Puzzle represents the Antichrist, which is why I say that they both sort of represent the Antichrist. Understanding Puzzle and Shift as the Antichrist and a false prophet can help make connection between the last battle and Revelation. Revelation warns us that believers of the Antichrist and false prophets will lead people down a dangerous path and away from the one true Messiah, the one true Christ. And along with that comes deception. Shift is deceiving the people of Narnia into believing that Aslan returns. The interesting thing is, Shift tells everybody, Aslan wants you to be slaves, Aslan wants you to do this, Aslan wants you to do that. Things that Aslan would never actually say, but the Narnians are either too stupid or too blind to realize that they're being tricked. They want to believe that Aslan has returned, so they just allow themselves to be used as slaves. They allow themselves to believe that Aslan really is back. Some of the Narnians do band together, refusing to be deceived, while others are blind to the truth. This picture right here is another picture from Left Behind, and it also shows the deception of the Antichrist in a different way. All the people in that room watch as the Antichrist shoots two people, but he is able to convince everyone that it was a murder-suicide, except Buck Williams, because Buck Williams is a Christian, a true believer. So if you are a true believer of Jesus, you won't be swayed by the Antichrist. If you are a true believer of Aslan, you won't be swayed. And there are some Narnians who aren't swayed, and they band together to find the real Aslan and to destroy Shift and puzzles with logic. Shift also comes up with this great saying that Tash and Aslan are the same. They're the same words for you-know-who. Tash is a Calorman god, and Aslan is the creator of Narnia. They're not the same thing. And this would be the same as saying that all religions are the same thing. They're not the same thing. There is the one true God, and then there's all the other false gods that people pray to and worship. And Shift is making the Narnians believe that everything is the same. He, of course, gets devoured by the monstrous god, Tash, as comeuppance for his deceitfulness. So then, why should we care? The Chronicles of Narnia can be used as a teaching tool. You can use it to help children better understand the Bible, better understand stories in the Bible. You can use it to teach them. It has the ability to share the faith through a fictional series. Even though the series is set in a fantastical realm, Aslan is comparable to children, and this can also be used. Aslan can be comprehended by children, and this can also be used as a teaching tool, and we can learn from the books in regards to our own faith in Christ. C.S. Lewis wanted to be a spiritual mentor for others. He wanted to share his faith in a way that would be easy to help children understand. Michael Ward said, "We will be more effective apologists and evangelists if we can make use of our literature and the imagination to share the gospel." The books can be used to open up a discussion to help further understand the underlying Christian elements. And I agree with Michael Ward. If we use literature, popular literature, then that will be easier to help share the gospel with those who might not otherwise understand it. And perhaps by knowing Christ a little in Lewis